People that are hungry are willing to do the things today others won't do in order to have the things tomorrow others won't have.
The question isn't can you handle the situation. The question is can you handle your mind.
What changed? I changed. And I stopped being a victim. I stopped saying I've got to wait for good things to happen to me. And I said I'm going to grind. I'm going to fight. I'm going to work.
A lot of the hardest problems are so easy to solve. We just have to take those steps which are hard.
I can do anything. I can do it.
Welcome to On the Rise. I talk about personal development, small business, and I interview entrepreneurs on the rise. They call me Level Up Nelson, and I am your host. You can follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Level Up Nelson. The phone lines are open at 800-419-5975. That's 800-419-5975. This podcast is brought to you by DatChat, the future of email and messaging. DatChat puts you in control of your text messages and allows you to pull back any message you've sent using secure blockchain technology. DatChat IPOs in early 2020 to the NASDAQ. Visit datchat.com/levelups and get a once-in-a-lifetime exclusive pass to purchase shares now. Again, that's datchat.com/levelups. And to my Level Up family, welcome back to the show. And my guest tonight is an entrepreneur. He's a doctor of social work and the owner at Mental Hop. He goes by the name of Dr. Randolph Sconiers. And Dr. Sconiers, welcome to the show, man.
Thanks for having me, Nelson. Appreciate being here, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'd like to start every show with a quote. I got the Facebook Live folks tuning in, so they like to tune into the quotes as well. And then we just chime in, give our opinion on it.
Let's do it.
All right. So this quote is, thousands of candles can be lighted from a single candle, and the life of the candle will not be shortened. Happiness never decreases by being shared. Let me read that one more time. So thousands of candles can be lighted from a single candle, and the life of the candle will not be shortened. Happiness never decreases by being shared. And that's from the Buddha.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think, man?
Man, that's deep. I mean, I think we all have the ability to make others happy,
right?
You know? And we don't need to keep that happiness to ourselves. If we share it, it just continues to spread and continues to spread. It can never burn out.
Right.
So even one person has the ability to make others happy.
Yeah.
You know?
And I like it a lot because it keeps that positivity going.
Flowing.
Yeah. Right? Yeah, it keeps it flowing. But at the same time, it's like it doesn't hurt you by helping somebody else out.
That's right. That's right. It's not going to shorten your happiness.
Right.
Or shorten happiness in general.
Exactly. And personal development, I pretty much base my show off of personal development because I understood that, at 19 years old, jumping into the personal development industry. And I just, once you get into it, man, it's just like, it's amazing.
It just keeps going, man.
It keeps going.
So many lives you impact.
Right. Right. And these kids today, man, obviously we're going to jump into it.
Sure.
But, they really need to understand and adapt this concept.
Yep.
Really.
I love it.
You know?
I'm going to have to use that one in my next symposium. I'm going to use that quote.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Okay, folks. All right. Nelson Stryker on the rise. Let me shout out everybody tuning in right now. Jonathan, I see you. Mr. Adiyar Johnson, I see you. Shout out to the Big A Show. We'll see you on Tuesday. All right, man. So look, let's jump right into it. Again, thank you for being on the show.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, man. Obviously there's a lot going on out there in the world, and especially with these kids. I guess we can start with your story.
Yeah.
You know, what made you get into just
this line of work?
Yeah, this line of work, man.
Yeah, man. I think over 20 years now I've been doing it, and I really got started over a story about kids, man. It was some kids in Newark years ago that were under DIFUS, DCP&P now, under their care, and it didn't go well. One of the kids, they were neglected, they were abused, they were left in the basement, and I caught that news clip years ago.
Wow.
And at that time, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I saw that clip and I was just inspired. And from there, I just went on and never stopped in terms of getting an education around helping young men and helping youth in general in terms of their mental and emotional health, and making sure that I could do something to impact their lives so that wouldn't happen again.
Right.
And I never turned back, man. It just
Wow.
kept going from there.
That's amazing.
So
That's amazing.
it's just one spark, and it just kept me pushing.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, okay, so you were definitely inspired. I mean, obviously, it's not easy to go through the kind of education that you had to go through,
no,
right?
no, not at all, not at all. It's
You know?
I didn't go the traditional route, man.
Okay.
I went to county college, community college. Well, back then it wasn't traditional. Now it's pretty
Right.
That's the way
Pretty
people
common,
go.
yeah.
But I went to county college, and then I ended up transferring to Kane University. That's where I went and got my undergrad and my graduate degree. And I always just wanted to be at the top of my game in the field that I was in. So I kept going and got my doctorate. I'm a licensed clinical social worker here in New Jersey, and also I'm a licensed clinical social worker in Florida as well.
Nice.
So I practice. I do mental health. I'm a practicing clinician, and I love that work. Just persevering, pushing forward.
Yeah.
Man.
Amen.
So that's what it's about.
Amen to that, man. Amen to that. So I mean, for the kids out there, obviously going through the things that they're going through, the parents, play a huge role.
Critical.
Yep. Into how they're turning out, some of the things that are going on in their lives, and maybe even some of the things that they're doing on a daily basis.
Definitely.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, early on, how did you stay inspired with knowing, how hard it is? Because it's kind of like you're fighting an uphill battle with the parents, because, obviously we're not going to see things eye to eye with the parents.
Nah, not all the time. Nope.
Right, not all the time. So how did you stay the course knowing that, the parents really needed the most work?
Yeah. I mean, as much as I can, I try to help the parents too and empower them as well. Because you're right. Working with the kids without the support of that parent or those parents or guardians, that could be extremely difficult. I mean, they could have contrasting perspectives to
right,
yours,
of course,
and contrasting views to their own kids. So I always looked at it as, how can I help that unit all together?
Okay.
But the client, the youth was my primary client. So I had to do everything, focus to advocate for them.
Right.
And empower them. So we can't blame our kids for the things that they often were put in bad situations,
of course,
by their parents or their parents' perspectives as well. And that's not fair to leave them in that on the island by themselves. So,
right.
I just put all my energy into helping the unit, but also helping that client that youth was my primary goal too.
Right. And and obviously in every community it's different, right? How would you consider the role of a community coming into play when it comes to, supporting that youth or supporting that family? Do you feel like the parents would be welcoming to the community, or do you feel like they're more so, I don't want to tell anybody what's going on in my household. I don't want to deal with nobody else. I just want to deal with you or, a social worker or somebody else. Or do you feel that they're more welcoming to what's going on in the community?
I think it depends. I think for the most part, as you know, like a lot of our communities, especially in urban areas, especially amongst black and brown people, it hasn't always been as welcoming, because some of the things that they've been through, it has impacted that, and there's a lot of stigma attached to, getting that help, and a lot of shame around it. A lot of times it's the narrative that has been, portrayed. So it's been challenging, but I think it's all about authenticity. If you come in there with the true desire to help, I'm not necessarily tell them what to do, but truly try to help them understand. Educate them. Yeah, because people fear what they don't understand. So it's really about educating them and letting them know it's okay, and just building that relationship with them so they can trust you. 'Cause
Right.
that's what it's about. Mistrust has been an issue. Why a lot of times they don't seek the help from the community. So
Right.
spend the time at the door. That's what I call it. The front door is like before you get into somebody's home,
Right.
get to know who they are, get to know their story,
Right.
and share with your story as well, so they
Yeah.
get to build that rapport.
Right. Oh, and that rapport is so key, right?
It's primary to me. I mean, I'm a teacher at Kane University. I'm an adjunct professor there, and I teach the new social workers. You got to build a rapport. I know you
Yeah.
want to jump in and do therapy, but you got to slow down. Got to slow down. So
Yeah.
it's really about building that trust and rapport from the go.
Wow. Wow. That's big, man. That's
Mm-hmm.
big. I mean, because obviously, when you're coming in, you're pretty much a stranger, right? They
Yeah,
don't-
who are you?
Yeah, they don't know you.
Nah, and who
Right.
are you to tell me how to, what I should be doing with my young person or my child or my, the person I'm in charge of. So, you got to build that trust to get to know who they are, and let them know you're doing some things well. I'm gonna just help you see if we could do some things a little bit better.
Right.
And let them be the experts in terms of things that are going on in their home.
Right. Right. Okay. All right. So look, I want to take a little break. The folks on the live are really loving this, man.
Okay,
They
that's
really
what's up.
respect you, man.
I appreciate that.
Sean Reeves said, "What
Oh,
up
that's
from,
what's up.
from Chicago?"
Oh
man.
yeah, from Chi. Yeah, my
From
man
Chi-town.
Sean, man.
So
Shout
he
out to
says
him.
what's up.
Yeah.
Terry Todd says what's up. Everybody's waving.
That's what's up.
John, I see you. All right, yeah. So listen, folks, we're gonna take a quick break. We're gonna pay the bills, and we will be right back. All right, folks, on the rise, Nelson Stryker. I am back with Dr. Sconiers, the owner at Mental Hop. We're going in tonight, folks. We're really getting deep into this line of work, and definitely shout out to everybody tuning in right now. But Dr. Sconiers, I really wanted to jump back into where we were, because I mean, obviously that was some serious stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And talking about the community and talking about the role that it plays for the kids coming up.
Mm-hmm.
How about those single parents?
Mm-hmm.
Because for millennials, it's hard out there, man.
Definitely.
Even if you have somebody, that's playing teamwork for you, it's still hard.
It's still hard, yeah.
Right? And I can't imagine how it must be for the folks out there that are dolo, just by themselves, one kid, two kids, even three kids. Whether you're a mother or a father, and you're alone. I mean, you've been with. You've seen 100,000 families, man.
So many times.
So many times. What are you seeing out there? What can we say to them?
I think you got to remain hopeful, and I don't always. I mean, so the narrative about a single parent household is so often there's a negative sort of connotation around it, and I think one of the things we got to look at is still we have to look at those strengths as well. And we have to really help those families or help that person seek out their village,
right,
and their community. So there's a school, there's coaches, there's teachers, there's staff, there's clergy,
right,
and anybody that wants to be part of your support system, bring them in. But on top of that, what are the strengths of that individual? A lot of times that single parent has a level of resilience that shouldn't be denied and
right,
should be utilized. A lot of times they push through obstacles and challenges as well. So I think that I don't always look at it as a negative. I look at it as where the strengths, where do they lie, and let's help empower those single parents just the same.
Right.
So that's how I see it.
Yeah. And again, I mean, we're coming back to the community piece.
Back to the community.
And pretty much identifying those people who can lend a helping hand. But, I think that, and this is wild, but I think the personal development piece comes into play, right?
Definitely.
Because, you got to be able to have that conversation with yourself and say, okay, you have to be comfortable being able to reach out to somebody. So how do folks be comfortable? How can they be comfortable reaching out to somebody else?
I think we got to start recognizing where their strengths at.
Yeah.
You know, where's their level of confidence? Where's their gifts and talents at? Where do they lie? Sometimes it's doing work with the parents or with those single parents. In terms of me as a practitioner,
Right.
a therapist, I work with them.
Right.
You know, to see how I can empower them to really build up those personal skill sets. Same sort of work you do.
Right, of
you
course,
know,
of
because
course.
that's what allows them to be confident and secure in who they are, to reach out.
Right,
for the
right,
help.
right.
So I think that's key. If we could just help people understand that there's help available for you,
Mm-hmm.
and be okay with reaching out. It's not an indictment on who you are
Yeah.
personally. We all need each other sometimes. So
Exactly.
I love it.
Right, right, right. Okay, all right. So look, man, mental hop.
Yeah, mental
Man,
hop.
you know I love it, man.
Mental hop.
You know I love it.
That's what
In
it's
the
all about.
beginning, you know where I was on it.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Mental hop. It didn't really roll off the tongue.
Yep.
You know, it didn't really roll off the tongue.
I got some people that they were like, you need to change it up, mental hop, early on. But now people slowly
It's starting
coming
to
up.
get
Yeah,
there.
It's starting to come along.
You know, and that's the thing, because when you have something new, it might not sound popping right now, but if you're building it to the point where people are starting to recognize it, they're starting to say it, I guess it more so grows on you.
That's right.
Kind of thing.
That's right.
Yeah. And look, you were just on Hot 97, what, for the second time?
Third time.
Third
man.
time on Lisa
Third
Evers.
time. Third time on Lisa Evers, Fox 5, Hot 97 for sure.
Yeah. Shout out to Lisa Evers. I know
Yeah.
she's been in that
Good people.
for a minute, man.
Yeah, in the community, deep rooted in the community, in the
Oh, yeah.
streets. Yeah, street
Oh, yeah.
soldiers. Yep.
Yeah. So shout out to Lisa, man. So all right. So boom, you were on there the third time. I guess talk about where mental health where mental hop began, and I guess how you got to the point where you're on, you're on Hot 97, talking about mental health and hip hop.
Yeah. I mean, in 2017, so New Steps Counseling, that's my practice. And then I've always developed new programs and things like that. And I had a program called Project Empowerment in 2012 that was just for young men. Fast forward 2017, I've always utilized hip hop as a way to connect with the young people I was working with. That's who I am. I grew up in
that's
hip hop
great.
culture,
Yeah.
writing, producing, making music. So I needed to find a way to kind of actualize that in real time in terms of a platform, because I wanted to help other people understand how powerful hip hop was. So I put together Mental Hop, started to roll it out, and Mental Hop is all about mental health education. That's the piece. A lot of people use mental health use hip hop in their practice as a mental health practitioner and counseling therapy. But I wanted to use it as a way to educate our young people. So I started consulting in schools,
Got it.
doing symposiums for young people, and that's how I got started. Because there's a definitely connection between the two, mental health and hip hop. So it's natural. Narrative therapy is what we do. That's what artists do.
Narrative therapy.
That's what it is. It's
Wow.
it's an evidence-based approach where people share their stories and they heal through sharing their stories. And that's what artists are doing every single day when they tell their stories.
Right.
Now we could say whether some are sort of putting something extra in
Yeah,
there.
that's what I was gonna say.
Now like it's sort of embellishing their story a little bit, but at the root of it is really sharing their truths. And that's
Right.
what we help people do every single day in therapy. So
Right.
let's educate our kids through hip hop. About it's through the lens, it's through their eyes.
Right.
And that's what mental hop is all about.
Okay. And obviously, I know you've heard this before, and you were kind of alluding to that a little
Sure,
bit,
yeah.
you know what I mean, in terms of, I guess the extraness.
That's right. Yeah. The embellishing of the stories.
of the storytelling.
Yep,
You know what I mean? Because, a lot of those parents, and the different parents that
Yeah.
might not really know the culture like we do.
Yeah, for sure.
They're looking at it like, whoa, like, how is this really going to happen when
That's
you
right.
have these lyrics and
That's
blah, blah,
right.
blah, blah, blah. So for folks like that, what do you say to them?
Yeah. Yeah, I get that a lot, and a lot of times the parents or educators don't, they're not big into hip hop because of the lyrics, and I understand it.
Right.
But one of the things we got to realize is our kids already are listening to it.
Exactly.
So we're already behind if we're saying, one, I don't want you to listen to it because they're going to do it anyway, or two, how can we better understand why our young people are listening to it? What is it about hip hop culture that's so influential, that's made it the #1 genre of music in the world?
Exactly.
So it's a culture. It impacts how we talk, how we speak, how we walk, how we dress. So if you have something that impactful, why not bring that into other systems like education, like mental health? Because the kids are listening to it, so now we could dissect it, we could talk about it, we could break it down, we could talk about why the embellishing happens, why do people add extra, why do young people add extra into their story, why they want to drive the Bentleys, and it's a reason about that.
Of course.
And so there's a conversation to be had around that, and I love it. It's engaging.
Wow.
So it pulls kids in right away. When you have them, you could do a lot of good stuff with that.
Yeah. It's like the bridge.
That's the bridge, the connection.
And it's so key, but at the same time, like even for me, I mean, because my biggest goal for getting into social work was to be a youth motivational speaker, because I was inspired by another speaker, but a speaker who didn't have that experience, that one-on-one or one-on-three with families in it.
That's right.
Doing
the work.
So I felt like I would be doing a disservice to the kids that I speak to if I really didn't know what was happening.
That's right.
And look, to a certain extent, me being, because I was in the system as a kid, and I went through the system, and so even though I went through the system, that's not enough.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? Because my experience was my experience. It's not every other kid's experience.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So being able to be an adult and have that lens, and have that social worker's lens is something you can't front.
Nah, you got to do the work, man.
Exactly.
In this time of everybody's an expert. Everybody's I mean,
because they got Google.
It's a lot of gurus, a lot of experts, and there's a lot of clout that you get from being in certain industries and fields. And one thing I always do, I love being frontline. I love doing the work. I'm grassroots, so I'm with the kids. We doing 5 to 6 symposiums every single week.
Wow.
In different schools. We in Elizabeth, we in Piscataway, we in, Plainfield.
Wow.
So we touching the kids, we right there with the kids every single week. So we got the pulse on what's going on, what matters to them, and now we bring back and we educate them around how they can continue to grow.
That's incredible,
personal
man.
development like you talk about.
Right. Wow. 5 or 6 times it's like
growing,
that.
Man. It's growing.
Oh my
it's
God!
gonna continue to grow. I'm blessed, man. I appreciate it. I appreciate the support I'm getting.
We really gotta go. We really gotta go in, man.
Yeah, we got to.
We got to. All right, folks. Nelson Stryker on the rise. I'm with Dr. Sconiers. He's the owner at Mental Hop. He's over here bridging the gap between mental health and hip hop, guys.
That's right.
Really inspiring a lot of people, helping a lot of families. Let me shout some people out. Jimmy Grant, oh, I see you. John, thanks for sticking in with us tonight. Roman, thank you so much. Brian Pittman, I see you. All right, folks, look, let's pay some bills. We'll be right back. All right, folks, Nelson Stryker on the rise. I'm here with Dr. Sconiers. He's the owner at Mental Hop. Definitely shout out to everybody tuning in tonight. So look, man, let's talk about this Hot 97 interview. Obviously, you've been on there 3 times.
Yeah.
I knew they were gonna love you from the first time, from the first time you went on there.
Appreciate that.
So to go back on there 3 times, obviously they know your value. They know what you're bringing to the table. So I guess talk a little bit about that, and I guess how that started.
Yeah, I mean, I use social media, Twitter, Instagram, and I was on Twitter. I would always post. Repost things that Lisa Evers did. I've been following Lisa Evers, listening to Street Soldiers for forever, man, on Hot 97. Always sort of dreamed of the day of getting on there because I know I had a perspective on a lot of the issues that she was talking about. So just reposting her stuff, retweeting, and just building a relationship through the platforms with her. And then one day she reached out to me and she said, we want to have you on to talk about these school shootings that were going on. That was my first show, and the impact that it was having on our young people. So I did that show, and then we also did a show about just recently did a show about social media too, and the impact on self-esteem. So that was huge as well. We did one on domestic violence or teen dating violence.
Wow.
So because I'm with the teens every day, just having that perspective. So she's great people, just building relationships. That was how I really got on to Street Soldiers, and still reaching out to her, even when we're not filming or I'm not on the show, just checking in, see how things are going.
Keeping that communication open.
Going, authentic.
Yeah, that's beautiful,
really.
Man.
So that's how it all linked up.
That's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw in one of the clips, you talking about the boundaries.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Now where were you guys at in the conversation and talking about the boundaries? Was it the domestic violence? Was it the shootings? Where were you guys at? And
that was about self-esteem.
Building up self-esteem.
Yeah, we were talking about how young people may not have those boundaries intact in terms of getting on social media and who they talk to or who's reaching out to them, and just the way they came up, they may not even understand the nuances of how to conduct yourselves on social media. Right. So I want to make sure that they're not the victims. It's a lot of predators out there. But also, again, going back to educating them about how to conduct yourself on social media. And also, employers are checking social media.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So kids don't always realize what they're posting and don't realize later on that could come back. We saw, prominent athletes post stuff and then comes back later on when your top draft pick or whatever, and people find out, what you posted. So it's just kind of educating them around it. So that was what that conversation was about. Right.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So I mean, there's so many different areas in terms of, how social media and is affecting these kids.
Sure.
But I mean, even adults, right?
Oh yeah, it's not just the kids.
It's not even just the kids.
My perspective was on the kids, but it's adults as well.
Oh yeah,
sure.
and I saw something in Simon Sinek. He really dives deep into the social media and how it's affecting our brains, and how there's a correlation between what cigarettes offer, what drugs offer, what alcohol offers. Yep. And it's like, for kids, we're saying that we're basically opening the door to the alcohol cabinet and say, hey, here you go, do whatever you want with it
early on.
And because I guess the social media is giving them this dopamine hit.
That's right.
Right. But now, you got Instagram saying they're going to pull back likes. They're going to turn it off.
Yeah.
Did you hear about that yet?
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
Yeah, we talked about that on the show, too.
You talked about that on the show?
Yeah, one of the people was from Canada. They actually rolled it out in her country. And
already?
Rolled out in Toronto, yeah.
Right.
And so the effect of it. So, yeah, there's definitely an impact here, too.
So,
and I hear people on both sides.
Yeah. Okay, so what are you thinking about? What do you think is going to happen when that becomes a reality to the folks out here?
I want people to be dope in real life. I don't want people to realize. I want people to like you because of who you are off of social media. I don't want people to feel like they need social media for likes.
Yeah.
And again, so this might be kind of like old school thinking, because with social media now, likes is everything.
Right.
But valuing who you are should go beyond social media. So therefore, if any company decided to pull the plug on any aspect of a platform, how does it stop you?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, you're still great. You're still amazing. You're still your greatness should not be dependent on that that little heart that flashes up when somebody hits that button. So
let me ask you this though. So my whole take on it was, people have been conditioned.
That's right.
Right? Mm-hmm. To believe this is how life is now.
That's right.
right? And being that it's been so long, it's been years, right? What do you think is gonna happen to those people that really depend on social media, right? Or what do you say to them? What kind of advice can you give them so they don't, they don't dip into depression and really just shut off because now they're not getting that dopamine hit no more?
Yeah, I think for some people, man, if they're going to need professional help, they're going to need it. But we really have to start unlearning. This conditioning has impacted us in so many different ways. So we have to resist the urge to be caught up. And we've been caught up, So now, again, we're behind because now we're in a position where we have to start to
catch
unlearn.
up.
Yeah, we have to catch up. So it's going to take some support from a lot of people in terms of how they're impacted by them taking it away. But we just got to make sure we're there for them and make sure they get the help if they need to.
Yeah.
But it's going to be tough for a lot of people. They've been dependent on that. So the same approach that we take for people who are addicted to substances, we support them, we get them the help that they need. If it gets to that point where somebody's struggling that much around social media or withdrawal, then we got to help them the same.
Yeah.
So that's a whole nother avenue that we're going to be headed down
right.
the next couple of years.
Yeah.
Going into 2020 for sure.
Right. And look, as business people, we have to understand, obviously there's going to be opportunities for other businesses to pop up and have likes and, and provide, that solution, right?
Solution.
If it is a solution.
Band-Aid, maybe?
Yeah, a Band-Aid.
I don't want to say Band-Aid, but like another way to cope. With it, but does it really resolve
the real issue?
Does it get to the root?
Yeah.
It may not, but I understand we have to help people with sort of slowly get through that process, and some of those businesses that pop up probably will do that.
Yeah.
But I like getting to the root. As a clinician, that's what I enjoy doing.
Right. And I'm fearful for a lot of those people. I mean, even if you think of the folks out there that are struggling with narcissism.
Definitely.
You know what I mean? But they don't know it.
Yep.
Right?
And most narcissists don't know it. They don't, because narcissism is part of it as a personality disorder. So these people, this is how they believe they're supposed to be. So they're not truly aware of these narcissistic behaviors at all. So I think it's going to be tough for them the most. They're going to be the people that struggle.
Yeah.
So we got some prominent people that have fall under that category.
Really?
So I'll leave it at that. Yeah.
You want to throw no names on it?
I don't put no names on it.
I know.
Y'all can figure it out. A lot of politicians, a lot of people, big CEOs, people like that. Narcissism is one of those things that they struggle with for sure.
Yeah. And it's tough because even for those folks, because they don't believe they have it, they're not. How are they going to go out there and get the help, right?
Again, narcissism is one of the toughest things to get people to get help for. So relationships suffer. People find themselves on the outside of relationships, and and they might have challenges on the job and things like that. Almost hitting rock bottom, so to speak, that might move them to get help. But it's a tough. That's a tough diagnosis to deal with, for sure.
Oh, yeah. So, look, Terry Todd from Linden.
Okay.
He's got a question. He says, what do you feel is the job of the social workers and guidance counselors in the schools?
That's a great question. Social workers, I think one of our things is to positively impact the lives of that student. I'm going to speak for social workers because those are two different professions. Social work and guidance counselors do two different things. Social workers, our jobs are to go in there, educate, advocate, empower these students, help them with any issues they got going on. And my take is in school, but also outside of school as well. And that's sort of different than a lot of schools may look at it that way in terms of social workers' role. But for me, it's all about the student.
Oh yeah. Okay. All right, folks. Nelson Stryker on the rise. I'm here with Dr. Sconiers, owner at Mental Health. We're going to take a quick break and pay the bills, and we will be right back for the last round of the episode, folks. All right, be right back. All right, folks. On the rise, Nelson Stryker. We're getting ready to wrap up the show for tonight. I'm here with Dr. Sconiers, for those of you just tuning in right now, owner at Mental Hop. We're talking about the bridge, building that bridge between hip-hop and mental health, and obviously a lot more. So for the folks that are late to the party, you definitely want to download this episode when it's done. It'll be ready on Wednesday on all streaming platforms. Okay. All right, so Dr. Sconiers, man, how we feeling, man?
Feeling
how
great.
Feeling?
Feeling good, man.
You feeling good, man?
Great conversation, for sure.
Yes, sir, man. We need it, man.
Gotta have it.
You know, we need it. We really do, man. So, look, I want to jump into the main event, and I know we kind of dipped into, destigmatizing mental health. But I guess let's talk about how we can, kind of inspire hope for people. And for the future. Yeah. Because obviously there's so much changing. Technology's getting crazy. They got robots and AI and, all these things that are going to kind of individualize us more.
That's right.
Right? And kind of make it easier for us to let go of relationships and let go of emotions, right? And kind of fill that void with technology.
And other things as well.
And other things. Right? So how do we inspire that hope, man?
Well, one of the things, man, Nelson, one of the things I'm seeing being in these schools is our young people are feeling the level of numbness it's intense right now. I mean, there's really like a detachment from things that are going on and impacting the lives of the people around them. So empathy is decreasing, and I feel like we got to really restore that. And how do we restore that, and how do we inspire hope? I think we got to get back to supporting each other and helping each other and listening and validating each other's feelings, man. People been going through some hard times.
Wow.
And this is not the time to sort of say, all right, you on your own now. This is the time to say, all right, let me try to understand what you've been going through.
Right. How can we
help each other? How can we support each other? So I think that's the beginning of it, at least, and doing that for our young people as well. That's what I'm teaching them with Mental Hop.
Well, now you drop two big bombs right now. I wish I could let off one of my rockets right now, but you said empathy and validation. Right.
Critical.
So for the people out there who aren't familiar with both, right? How do we make it simple for them to understand? Validation and empathy.
Okay, I'll start with empathy. So empathy, similar to sympathy, people understand that. Sympathy is feeling sorry for somebody. Empathy is different. You're putting yourself in the shoes of that other person. So you're almost feeling what they're feeling without actually going through it. So it's an extreme connection that you could have with somebody. And it really puts you almost in the same place that they've been in.
Okay.
Validation, a lot of times, the easy way to look at it is that person's ability to be heard. That's a lot. Are you listening to me? Are you understanding where I'm at? And not only, it's not agreeing with somebody, it's just saying, I hear you.
I hear you.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. And it's the most simple thing that you could do, but it could be extremely powerful for somebody.
Right. And that's actually what the likes do.
That's right.
Right.
Yeah, true. That's what it does. To a degree, right?
To a degree.
We could sort of decide whether it's false validation or not, because there's nobody on the other end. I mean, there's somebody that just you click on like,
but they might not even know you.
Yeah. So, and do you really have to know somebody to validate them? I don't know. I think I'm not saying that it's a great thing that they're taking it away. I'm just not sure what it's gonna do. I think personally, I want people I want them to feel. In the end, can you validate yourself too?
Right.
Do you need somebody's validation to be successful? And the key word is need. Nah, you don't.
Right.
You don't need it.
Right.
It can support, it can help, but at the end of the day, you got to feel secure in who you are.
Right. Right. And I think that's a huge challenge.
Yep.
For most people, they don't feel that security in who they are, and I guess they're going to social media
to sort of find that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I understand it. I get it. I think we have to just do a better job off of social media, offline, to continue to restore that feeling for people so they don't have to go. Because technology could be taken away at any point in time.
Of course.
So as long as we get people grounded in who they are, then we could sort of restore that feeling back.
Right.
Without technology. Mm-hmm.
Okay. and you know, for the folks out there, you know, that are interested in, or I should say, for the folks out there who understand that, you know, life is about learning, right, and that change is inevitable, right. Because, you know, there's a lot of people out there who think change is like this really bad thing.
That's right. Yep.
You know, and like, oh, you know, I'm fine who I am, blah, blah, blah. And to a certain extent, it sounds like they're being secure.
That's right.
Right? But on the other hand, it's like they're shutting out who they can be, and they're shutting out their potential.
That's right.
Right? So what do we say to folks like that?
I think change is constant. That's the only thing that's really constant. So if a person thinks they're not changing, you know, I don't think I need to change. You're changing anyway. The change is taking place whether you're like aware of it or not, right? So that awareness is a big part of it. But again, I go back to there's areas of everybody's lives in which they can improve, and I think that getting to them, understanding who they are and where they want to go and who they want to become, getting to the root of that. So not like forcing an opinion down somebody's throat about who they should be, but really having conversations about who you want to be.
Right.
Because most people, at the end of the day, don't desire to stay in one place. I think it's a level of comfortability, right?
Yeah.
So I think we've got to push people. We try to get people to get out of that comfort zone in order to grow. But sometimes we got to nudge them a little bit. Sometimes we got to encourage them a little bit. Sometimes we got to motivate and inspire them a little bit. So,
right.
You know, I think that's where we could start. You know, and
yeah.
that's a work in itself.
Yeah, and it's tough too. I mean, and if you think about it, for the folks that are in those kinds of relationships, right? Because then you got to get into the relationships and how they're going today. You know, it's like for somebody who appreciates or understands that, yeah, no matter what change it's gonna come, and that you have one person striving to be a better person, but the other person just saying, look, I am who I am. You like me or you don't like me, you know, and that's it, you know. So I mean, and for millennials, you know, I don't think they're as wrapped up in emotions because social media plays such a large role in a millennial's life, and obviously the generations coming behind millennials, I don't know.
Next level. Right?
I don't know what's gonna happen.
Yeah. So do you think that's a good thing, though? I mean, in terms
honestly, I don't think it is.
Yeah.
I'm fearful of these kids in high school right now. These kids in grade school right now. You know what I'm saying? I mean, could you imagine what some of these kids can get access to right now that we didn't have access to?
No, I agree, man. And I'm seeing it manifest in those connections, in those relationships. And,
right.
And some of the people, the old school people would say, these kids are not respectful anymore. They're not, you know, they don't have respect.
Right.
But again, when you got this technology that's sort of separating us and taking away that empathy and validation and those feelings, it's not about respect. They don't even feel you. Like they don't even know how
they don't
to
see
feel.
you.
They don't even see you.
Yeah.
They don't see what you. They don't see that you're upset. They don't see that you're angry, you're disappointed. So we got to get back to feeling again, getting our young people to feel again, and that's going to take work. You know, that's going to take some work offline.
Of course.
So that's what mental hop is all about too.
Wow.
You know, restoring that feeling, because young people will tell me, I want to feel again.
Yeah.
I don't know how to feel. Like something happens to somebody, so what? Whatever. Remember, when I got into this role, it was that story online that pulled me into it.
Yeah.
I was feeling what those kids were feeling.
Wow.
It's hard for young people to do that nowadays, but I have hope for them. We could do it. We could help them.
Yeah. And there's I saw a video one day. There was a kid, there was a gentleman walking by, and there was a kid staring him down, like me mugging him. And the kid was probably like 12, 13 years old, right? So the gentleman walked up to the kid. He was like, yo, what's your problem? Blah, blah, blah. And he gave him a hug. The kid started crying.
Yeah, man.
Do you know what I'm saying? He just started bawling. He didn't know what was going on. The kid had a gun on him.
Yep. Yep.
He was strapped.
I want to speak something to that. A long time ago, I always wanted to do this campaign, man, and I wanted to do it in Chi-Town. So shout out to Sean, maybe connect me, man. I think a lot of these young men need hugs.
Yeah.
And I know it might be controversial and people looking at masculinity and all that, but I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking about the exchange of emotion that comes with giving another young brother a hug and letting them know that it's okay. And I see what you've been through, validating their feelings.
It's okay to feel. It's okay to
feel. And that could be that exchange of energy that could set them free, man. Something as simple as that. So I love it. That was a great example. I feel it. Our young people need more hugs. We don't do enough hugging.
So that's what's up. And like what you said, it's they don't feel. So for them to shoot another kid, or to shoot another person, you know what I'm saying? 14, 15 years old, shooting somebody in the head.
Nelson, man, I had a symposium last week. We talked about the young kid that was killed at a high school football game. Yeah. Somebody just came up in there and shot. They were shooting, up the game while the people were in the bleachers. Just like that. So think about where that type of person has to be at in terms of level of numbness that you wouldn't even think that, how that impacts so many lives. Right. So trauma is real, man. Yeah. And so trauma impacts how you feel as well. So a lot of our young people have experienced some trauma. So we got to get back to helping them feel again. And that's the essence of what mental health and healing is all about.
Yeah, that's scary, man.
Yeah, but we can help them. We got the hope. Hope is alive.
Yeah, we gotta have that hope, man. Yeah. With that 09 hope, that 09 Obama hope,
That's right, we need that again. We need that back now.
Yeah, man. Amen. All right, folks, and that is our show for this evening. So to my Level Up family, thank you for watching. And to those of you on the podcast, thanks for listening to On the Rise. Subscribe, leave us a rating or a review so you don't miss any level ups from the show. And again, let's thank our guest for this evening, Dr. Randy Sconiers. Thank you so much for checking us out, man, and being here.
Appreciate it, Nelson, man. Can I tell people how to follow me real quick?
Yes, sir. Drop it, man.
Make sure you people follow me on Instagram at doc_s or hit up Mental Hop, MENTALHOP, Mental Hop. Thanks for having me, Nelson. Appreciate you.
Yes, sir, man. Maybe in a couple months you got to come back, man.
Got to. Love to. Appreciate you, man.
Yes, sir.
Keep doing it.
All right, folks. Thank you so much. Tune in Wednesday. The show will be dropping on all platforms. And as always, we'll see you next time.